And remember, guys, don't wait for your life to be perfect for you to be happy.
What are you doing?
This is my therapy.
Um.
Who wants spaghetti? Hello, everyone. I'm Steve. Mark's around. Say hi, Mark.
Hey, everybody!
And this is Smokey Steve and Mark. Either welcome or welcome back, and happy Saturday. It is the weekend, so we knew what that means. There's like 5 kinds of coffee dumped into our big coffee bin, so I'm not sure what this is. Coffee Mate Creamer, Hazelnut, and some Splenda. Brand X Splenda. Brand X Cancer. So I hope everybody is well. I hope everybody is safe. Look after yourselves. Look after the folks around you. We are going to be continuing today with our fair lady, Chantal. Chantal Marie, Foodie Beauty, Big Beautiful Me, the Daily Chantal, the Chantal Show, Chantopolis, and of course, Foodie Beauty again for now. So she's had an interesting week. A lot of dirty deletes, which involved a fair bit of hunting. So a preemptive thank you to Reactors at Large, to Just Sayin', Thor, and then I guess of course Foodie Beauty for making hours of content for the rest of us to enjoy. So we're gonna sort of pick up where we left off last week in the timeline, but there's some bullet points I pulled out this week. Some were funny, some were kind of serious, some were unacceptable depending on how you define unacceptable, but we'll go in. So last week we talked about her continued high streams, and we're going to touch on it again this week because I think it bears repeating that that it's constantly on YouTube. I don't dislike Chantal exactly, but if, let's say, alcohol, my drug of choice, if I came on camera drunk every day for 2 months, and then I told you I was still driving places and doing things and like, you'd be concerned, right? I would think. I would hope somebody would say something. I would hope I'd be receptive to listening, though. This is where things are different. I talked about how I thought she was being outplayed by Dom, how she thought she was getting the long end of the stick because she was getting it in and getting some party favors and blah, blah, blah. But was she really? People, places, and things that she should avoid, of which she's done none. It's one of those tools they want you to think about in recovery. Look at the people in your life, the places you go to, and the things you're around, and are they triggering? She is one big trigger. Everything triggers Chantal. Emotional, mental, all of it. So she's never not triggered. And then her idea of keeping things private, where when she'll put out something into the community, whether during a closed members-only stream or a open stream, which tend to be a little more volatile, if it gets too real, she wants to keep it private. If there's room of her being caught in a lie, it becomes private. If she doesn't like the reaction she got from introducing it to the story line on her channel, she'll pull it back. Storyline. It's her life, but there's so many liberties taken, it almost is a storyline. So, talking about the live streams, the high streams of this week, and there were several that were pulled. And I'm glad they were, because aside from the fact that I think she's covering her ass, with some things that were said, I also don't think it's good to have content of people high for 45 minutes to 3 hours on YouTube. I just don't. There's other people doing it. I'm positive. I've seen it. But this is the one that I follow. So it's just, it jumps out. I'm not a reporter. I don't do petitions. I don't do any of that stuff. I'm just some guy on YouTube watching the show. But that doesn't mean I don't have an opinion on it. My opinion is that kind of content, I don't know, does more harm than good, I would say. So, the high streams. Just weed, edibles, and THC. Okay, that's a lot of weed, a lot of edibles, and a lot of THC. I've been 1,000 kinds of high, and I've partied with quite the cross-section of humanity. So, I know what different ones feel like, but I also know what different ones kind of look like, too. No, I didn't have her pee in a cup, and I didn't draw her blood. However, it doesn't look like weed exclusively. It doesn't look like she's just doing THC. Somebody had said in one of her videos it looked like she went to her cocaine drawer where her paraphernalia is dipped off camera, moved the camera out of the way, and then came back maybe after alleged beauty bump. Perhaps, I don't know. Do I think that she's still doing cocaine? Probably. Yeah, maybe not to the extent she was. I mean, she plateaued with her weight loss. She came off the Ozempic, but that wasn't something that many of us gave a lot of credit to for her weight loss anyway. That it was mostly illegal drugs that she was doing that caused it. So, trust me, if it was the Ozempic, she'd be back on it in a heartbeat because she liked being 70 pounds thinner. I mean, who wouldn't? She seemed to be enjoying it. And now she's hit a plateau with the drug use that now she's regaining some weight. At her words, regaining weight. And by our eyes, regaining weight. It's hard to hide that. We can see what's happening. So, and if you thought the mukbangs were deliberately messy, you should see these high streams when she eats. They're messy. They're slow. There's food. It's yeah. So her staring and slow moving and nodding. That's about the gist of it. That's about what you're missing from it. She'll need to lay down after a huge challenge, like sitting up for 90 minutes. She'll get up, get high, talk for a while, then she'll have to lay down, and then she'll say she has to get off stream, and then she's back in a few hours later, and she's ordering takeout. That's why day and night means very little to Chantal. She'll say, I didn't use yesterday, or I haven't eaten since 2 days ago. She sleeps like my cat. She might be up all night and then sleep for a few hours in the afternoon and then get up and then do something for a few hours and then go back to bed and get up at midnight. It means nothing. And not because Chantal is a good or bad person morally, it's just her sense of day and night is very different. Pete's works a different shift, so he arranges his sleep around that because his hours are probably more fixed than hers. So he's consistently unavailable at certain times. Chantal is consistently available all the time. There's nothing, she's not working at her second job or anything. And all the other stuff that sounds like she's doing, she hasn't even begun yet for some of her things. She's talking about moving, talking about therapy, all this other stuff, which is all you could do on the phone and online. So there's really no excuse to not leave the house to do it. So I don't know. Let's see. She's eating takeout spaghetti in one of these things, and she's drinking from a Burger King cup. So that means one of a couple things. Either the spaghetti place only does beverages from Burger King cups, or she had the Nashville chicken, whatever, earlier in the day, and the cup was still there, or that cup's been there for more than a day, or 2 or 3 or 5. Now, if it was sitting in her bedroom garbage, I could totally understand. But she has said things start to pile up in her room when she's not doing well. And by not doing well, I mean I was going to clean my room, but then I got high. That's pretty much seems to be the case of it. I wouldn't be very interested in cleaning my room if I was high for 2 months. It wouldn't see, you know what I mean? Certain things, certain priorities get switched. Everything is kind of given up. And if you don't think THC has any impact on the quality of your life, look at your house. There's certain things that go undone when a person is dependent on edibles and things like that. I don't give a shit that it's legal. My drug of choice was legal, and there's plenty of people that can do it. Thursday, Friday night, have a couple glasses of wine, and they go home. They're not getting drunk at noon on a Tuesday, Sheryl Crow, holla, and, putting it on camera. Because what is that supposed to... what's the novelty in that? And there's really no novelty when it's been happening for months and months and months. So, I suspect, like I said, given her depression, which seems to crop up when it involves doing anything more than nothing, seems to creep in. And I don't mean to make light of mental illness. My God, I have one too, and I know they can be devastating. But the excuse making that goes with it, it's only a reason not to do something when she has to do something, which is anything, anything beyond being in bed. She doesn't want to go downstairs. She doesn't want to leave her room. She's doing this, stoner hippie hermit thing, which is not cute, which is not helpful. It's not helping anything. You have to have more company than you and the person you're sleeping with. People need friends. We're social creatures. And I'll explain later why the chat don't count. Why the chat does not count. Okay? So what else did I have to say on this? It's one thing, we all need help from time to time. My mental health, I needed help. It takes a village. It took a lot of people. I sucked a lot of people in, and I've had a chance now, 7 or 8 years later, to mend a lot of those fences. But there's a difference between needing help and needing rescued. Chantal, to me, seems like the kind of person who, if they're having any kind of issue, they need rescuing. She needed people to come in and clean her house. I don't believe for a second she cleaned her house all by herself. I don't. And there's no shame in not doing that by yourself. She's a 400-pound woman who lacks motivation. Of course she's not going to clean her house by herself. It would take a crew of people or a cleaning company or some family and friends to come over and help her do it. And then the goal is that she'd feel refreshed and renewed by that change in her life, and it would snowball into other areas. All it did was snowball into another pile of takeout containers in her bedroom. So it was something temporary, but it didn't really seem to like fix the problem. People are going to actually, what she wants is them to come in and fix it. Her created problems that she makes, she wants other people to come in and fix it, come in and do it, drive me to the hospital, take me to my blood work appointments, take me here, take me there, and to be coddled. And there's a certain kind of satisfaction she gets out of being coddled by people. You know, she'll like push away, I don't want to visit her, I don't want to return the calls, I don't really want to do some of this family stuff, but then she needs everybody all at once. She needs to be reassured that people care. And putting yourself in a real or imagined sketchy medical situation draws out the people who you think you want their proof of love. You want proof that they care. You want proof that they'll be there for you, even if you don't feel like they are. So you throw out a medical crisis and see what it'll do. Those things also hit the restart button in some ways. You go to the ER, all of a sudden they're all very worried for your health, and you think it gets everyone off your back for using, too. It didn't work that way when you were locked at your uncle's for 2 days. But then back to your own place and back to a delivery of edibles right as soon as we got home. So there really was no time without mind-altering substances. I know, isn't Prozac mind-altering? Yes, but you don't see me sitting around the house for 2 months going from my bathroom to my bed. You know, I have a much fuller life outside of YouTube. So I don't know. There's a lot of us who take prescription medication, and if she is taking one, I heard that that's a good thing. But taking weed for every bit of uncomfortable living is not the same thing. It is not the same thing. Oh, I'm feeling sad. This will make me feel better. Oh, I'm happy. This will make me feel even better. Oh, I can't sleep. I'll take this. It's her wonder drug. She uses weed like I used to use alcohol. There's never a bad time to do it. If I'm sad, it makes me happy. If I can't sleep, it puts me to bed. If I'm angry, it calms me down. If I'm hungry, it distracts me. It's just something I do hard on the weekends with other people. During the week, I'm okay. Nobody will know. It's just a drink or two. I'll just show up on camera. They can't tell. That 4-minute drunk live, I saw her, I saw me, trying to lie to people saying I only had one drink. People aren't dumb. Like they know what they're seeing. So anyway, we all need help sometimes, but she blows off aftercare. She blows off everything after that. The only thing she wanted was, and what are they going to do in the ER for that? So I don't know. Anything that involves her doing more than just picking up the phone seems to be too much. And even the phone seems to be getting heavy. You know, in COVID times, here in the Western world, where we're surging a little bit again, having that kind of stuff, more stuff is probably going to be dialed back to telehealth if it hasn't stayed there already. We're in a time now where a person can get pretty much full medical services and not leave their home unless they need blood work. And some of that can be done with nurses or a phlebotomist coming to the house. So really you can have it your way right away, almost, with medical care, depending on the seriousness of your situation. If they think your situation can wait 6 months, then it's going to wait 6 months. You know, if there was no need for urgency, then there wouldn't be a rush to take care of it. So, I don't know. Okay, so anyway, spaghetti 3 times a week. Okay, I like pizza myself. I could eat pizza 3 times a week, so I'm not faulting her for that. And, you know, it's, I don't get bored. You know, I don't get bored with it. I could eat it all the time. Frozen, fresh, make it yourself. Get it from a pizzeria, get it at Giant, and bake it in the oven. So I'm not hating on her for eating the same thing a few days of the week. I don't think, of all the issues she has going on, Food OCD really isn't one of those things. And actually, it's a pretty good thing, actually, that I like pizza. The wedding is probably going to be pushed back, unfortunately, a little bit because of changes in the pandemic. And I don't want to get married in a mask, and I don't want to get married in a limited crowd. So that's going to be, and it's at an Italian restaurant because we love Italian food. But that's going to have to get put off for a little bit of time, unfortunately, which also means I get more time to put off having to lose my COVID weight before the wedding. I thought I only had like 2.5, 3 months. Now I might have like 6 to lose. I gained 25 pounds during COVID. Half a pound a month times 18 months or so. And it all crept up. It crept back. And those last 25 pounds, 20 pounds are the hardest to lose and the easiest to regain. And I gain them back. But anyway, I'm talking about myself. So going into the next one, Pete's. Pete's is struggling at the moment. Okay. Pete's has been off camera a lot, especially, I think, since she started doing she's doing hard use of legal drugs, if that makes sense. I mean, she takes these edibles and nods out like someone who has a much more serious habit of a much more serious drug. That's how much she's taking. Plus, I don't know much about dosing, but she's a rather large woman. And maybe she needs to take more, maybe she needs to take less. I don't think she cares. As long as she's not thinking and she feels, as long as everything up here is swimming and she's not thinking about consequences and she's not thinking about moving and she's not thinking about gaslighting, abuse in a relationship that she maybe was in, maybe never was in, she doesn't think about it too hard. So Pete's, of all people, could use a chat room full of support. Pete's, because the only truth I seem to hear about what's going on in that house is when Pete slips in the background and says something kind of snarky. That kind of, it's not mean if it's true, but he'll say it kind of mean. Pete's is struggling. He deals with depression. I do believe he's engaged in therapy. He's said that before. But what's going on with Pete's, too, does not happen in a bubble. He's spending either time alone there. And he's said in stream he prefers to live with her because he jokingly said, I can't take care of myself. Pete's is a fully functional adult, and if he's not, he may need to live with someone, but that doesn't have to be Chantal. You know, Pete's is grown. He's grown. He's endearing, he feels fumbling, he's got something like that. Still got creeper appeal. But, you know, he can live his own life. She should be able to move on without having to think about what's going to happen to Pete's. The cats are tied to her. If she did anything to abandon those cats to go have a better life with anybody that she met on Plenty of Fish, then no. I don't know. Substance use disorders kind of reprioritize people's wants and people's needs. Like, Pete's is her best friend, you know, and he could probably use someone right now, too. I don't know. Mark!
Yeah.
Can you come in here, please?
I can.
Because we're talking about Pete's, your favorite guy.
Uh-huh.
And talking a bit. Have a seat.
Oh, you're putting me in the hot spot.
You're going to be in the hot spot twice. You guys know Mark. He was here last week. So Pete's is struggling at the moment.
Yes.
Depression.
Yes,
He's getting some help for it. He's doing what healthy people do.
Yeah.
But Chantal, being his best friend.
Yes. Yeah.
Allegedly. How much does she seem to care that he's having a hard time?
You know, unfortunately.
How much does it look like she cares?
Okay.
We can only go by what's on camera. So what does it look like? How much does it look like she cares?
Right. Not a lot. Okay. You know, unfortunately, you know, this isn't exclusive to her. People with substance use disorders, you know, I think you just said their priorities change. They become very selfish. Okay. And one can argue that she has always been selfish, but it's exasperated with this situation that she's in right now. You know? So would she put off Dom for an hour because Pete's maybe needed to talk?
I don't see that.
I don't think so. Would she put off getting high before a stream to lend a sober ear? Sober being the important word here.
To Pete, so she'd remember what he talked about.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, I forgot. I mean, how many times do we have to hear that? So no, my answer is not at all. And it's a shame because, you know, they are supposedly best friends, and if one of my best friends was struggling, you know, I would do whatever I could to help that person.
Yeah.
She's so involved in her own world right now that she is either one, not even noticing it,
Yeah.
or two, noticing it and does not care at all. And it's a shame. It's a shame. It goes back to the selfishness of the disease and of the person, you know.
Yeah.
It's a very selfish disease. And, you know, I do feel for Pete's. There is no coincidence to the fact that Pete's is struggling right now and dealing with depression and dealing with some things at the same time that this is happening with her. You know, addiction is a family disease, and you could consider them a family because they live under the same roof, you know. You know, for all intent and purposes. And as the person gets sicker and sicker, the people around them get sicker and sicker. And it's only going to continue and get worse for both of them.
Yeah. I don't know.
My opinion, you know.
I don't know. And it's like when they're both on camera. Here, I'll be Chantal, you be Pete's. Talk about comic books.
Oh man, did you see that latest comic book? So cool. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Oh, and then there's a new movie coming out based on a comic book, and you know, exactly. The eye rolling.
Yeah.
She's bored or put out anytime he opens his mouth. It's so evident on camera.
And it's so rude because
it's rude.
Because the audience can see it at that distance. Yes. I don't know if Pete's can. So it's like her little inside joke to 1,200 people that she's bored.
Yeah.
With him.
Yep.
That's like...
It's a shame. It's a shame. This disease affects the entire family and everyone around. And if she says one more time, I'm not hurting anybody. And yes, you are. You're hurting the person you live with. You're hurting your family. You're involved. All of the people who watch you.
The police department.
Come on.
All of these things, like, we can trust what we're seeing. Like, all of these things put together. This is just not one long series of misunderstandings.
No.
That 80,000 people are getting wrong. It's okay to fuck up, but you admit that you fuck up and then you try to do better.
Yeah.
You know, people fuck up, sometimes in really big ways. I would argue that we fucked up in some pretty big ways.
Sure.
But we didn't swim in it. And we didn't defend it. Well, I defended it early on.
Early on. Early on. And right. And the righteous attitude plays a very big part in this, and not taking it seriously at all. And so publicly doing this, she is influencing other people. I mean, you know, other folks that have the mindset like her, okay? And I don't mean like exactly like her.
No.
I mean, anyone who may, I don't know, want to dabble with illicit substances or whatever, maybe very involved with their drug use right now, will look at that as validation for their own actions.
Yeah.
So she has influence on other people in a negative way by doing this over and over and over again. Now, you know, you could argue that, well, that's on that other person. You know, you know, it's the whole like, did the video game make me do it? Did that video make me do it? You know. But the fact of the matter is that that's the world we live in. We're in a social media age. We can, anything we need to know, to see, to get validated, we can just click a button and see it. And this is an example of that.
She validates it for them, and then they validate it for her.
Yes, exactly.
And pat her on the ass and say, hey,
it keeps going and going.
YOLO, you know, light it up.
I just would like to see her rise above this, but it's, unfortunately...
It is. Well, I'll call you back towards the end, I think.
Oh, okay.
But thank you for your insights on Pete.
No problem.
But we'll need a pro again, so I'll call you at the end.
Poor Pete.
Poor Pete. I feel bad for... Nobody else does. I'll shut up. But I know I feel bad for Pete. Anyway. So another little sidebar. I want to talk a second about Chantal's version of reality versus Steve's version of reality. I can't speak for everybody else, you know, our agreed upon reality for the most part. Now, in Chantal's world, again on some Pete's shit, Pete's is struggling. That's what she tells, you know, the real world. You know, in the real world, Pete's is struggling. He's having a hard time. But what she'll report to camera is he's busy, he's working, he's asleep. So there's other reasons that he's not around as much as he used to be. Her housing is insecure from what she's relayed. Do I have someone to live with now? Next month? It's getting towards the end of the month now. Something has to happen soon. It's not really Chantal's style to get out ahead of things and make moves. So in her own little world, she's moving to Jamaica. So in real life, she might be living in that car that's broke down of hers. But in her fantasy world, when she's high, it's Jamaica. Jamaica. That's where we're going. Real world, you know, she takes her meds kind of as she wants to. In her fantasy world, weed cures all. Weed cures all. So in fantasy world that exists only at Chantal's desks and within arm reach and drawers, weed cures everything. Weed, medical weed, can be a treatment for a number of different conditions. Okay? This is true. Other drugs can be used for a myriad of conditions. That is true. But when they're taken in certain doses and they're meant to be recreational, and it is so recreational that it makes you immobile for the most part. Immobile because you can't or shouldn't be driving under the influence of them. Just saying. I'm just saying it because you know exactly what the fuck I'm talking about. That you shouldn't be doing those things. Compromised driving is a crime. Driving under the influence is a crime. Her answer to that is to poll the viewers to see what the driving under the influence laws are in Canada, and until she hears otherwise, to continue to do what she's been doing. So she doesn't know if she's been breaking the law this whole time. She just figures until she hears otherwise, it's no big deal. Ignorance of the law is not an excuse. You can't say, sorry, officer, I'm a little baked right now, but I thought it was fine. Tow your car. You're going to have to walk home. It could be bad. It could be bad. Also, brings me into this. The all-knowing, all-seeing chat. You know, the crystal ball here. It's like her personal Wikipedia, therapist, everything. Any question she has, she's not one to Google. The chat is the Google. She'll ask questions out here and then get a bunch of different answers, and whichever one she seems to like the most, that's the answer that we're going to go with. It doesn't matter who it came from. Was it a member? Was it Joe? Joe. Was it Annie? It doesn't matter who of her or her fave mods or whoever was there. Kind of question she asks, and this was just kind of going through this week. What ingredients are in tiramisu? How long does Coke last in your system? What do you want to talk about today? She comes on often with no topic because she hasn't done anything. There's nothing to talk about. She talks about last week's content was a lot of it about the weekend. The weekend, the performer. Who gives a shit? She's not going anyway. She's not going. For $50 seats, she's not going to make it up the stairs. There's no way. Another question. Oh, Joe set a timer, so somebody else has to be accountable for that too. Where should I move? How long until weed is out of my system? What are the DUI laws in Canada? You guys think I'm being manipulative? You guys think I'm gaslighting? Should I tell you guys the whole story? And then a video later. I don't need your feedback. Fuck all of you. Spends 3 hours telling everybody to fuck off and mind your own business. She wants unquestioned support with no dissent. She does not want to hear feedback. When she's in that mood, anything, dissent, disagreement with her, even a respectful disagreement, hater, blocked. Hater, blocked. You have to absolutely co-sign whatever she's doing because she needs support. And in her head, support means you agree with me or you're defending me. Support doesn't mean accountability. It doesn't mean you said you're doing this and I said I would support you if you're doing this, and since you're not doing this, I'm not going to support you. And she'll pull out that little sly shit like, thank you all my supporters. I mean enablers, because I'm not deserving of love and support. That is such baby shit. I know that's how people probably try to make her feel, and they use the word enablers. If I'm giving you $5 and you go buy drugs, how can I not feel like I don't have it itemized that $4.95 went to your groceries and 5 cents went to cocaine? I mean, every one of those is a beauty bump. So that's between her and the people who give her money. I've already given her money, felt the grief, felt like a moron, decided not to renew my membership, and addressed that in a couple of videos. I was wrong to do it. I owned up to it. I still wouldn't go back. And I wouldn't change what I had done. Or I would change what I have done, rather. I wouldn't do it again. I wouldn't have done it again given the opportunity to do it again. But she puts a lot of pressure on her audience to validate her, to send her money, obviously. It's her business. I I can't see, outside of making these videos, watching all of her lives. Like, I can't imagine being excited. How high is she today? Like, that doesn't make for good content. The people that signed up who love her channel, I imagine when they signed up 3-4 years ago, whatever it was, didn't anticipate that they'd be watching her intoxicated on camera all the time. But they stayed. That's the kind of support she wants from everybody. She wants better or worse marriage type commitments from friends, from people on Facebook, from people on, not Facebook, she doesn't have it, Instagram, YouTube, stuff like that. The all-knowing chat. The all-knowing chat. Okay. Then she mentions, and this is the last one I'm going to mention because right after this I got pretty damn sick of her for the week. I don't hate her, but I was pretty sick of her bullshit after this because this was manipulative. It picked on a topic that's close to home for me, and I just plain didn't like it. So, alleged abuse, and said gaslighting around alleged abuse. So, she's in a stream for a change, and she's sitting up and then she lays down for a change, and the chat is, it's whatever. I think she's had some edibles. And the chat is whatever. Entertain me this. What kind of videos do you guys want to see? What should I get tomorrow? I have to find a new place to live 3 months ago. The usual stuff. And out of nowhere comes, have any of you guys ever been in an abusive relationship? Okay. She just threw that out there. Okay. Okay. When she asks that to me, it implies it's a random question. It's too random a question to throw out. So she throws that out there and leaves it out there and doesn't want to elaborate and says she shouldn't have brought it up because people in the chat are asking, are you in an abusive relationship? Who's the only man that's been in her life for the last 2 months? And she had mentioned being in a rough spot over the last 2 months. And how long was she doing? About 2 months or so. So all those things fall into a timeline that now end with her being depressed, upset, and gaslighting the idea of abuse. Otherwise she wouldn't have brought it up, So, did she think this is where we'd be? 3 months ago? 6 months ago? Probably not. It makes me doubt her. Normally I would be the kind of person who, if a woman or a man came to me and said, I'm in an abusive relationship, or if they asked me, how's it work? And someone said, out of the blue, what is this, that about being in an abusive relationship? Have you ever been in one? How do I know if I'm in one? That's very different than someone throwing out the question, have you ever been in one? With no follow-up. Absolutely none. And I think it's probably because the people in the chat weren't like, oh, honey, was it you? Is that what the bruises were? They weren't ass-kissing responses that she was getting. They were more like, I was too. And they were sharing some pretty deep stuff. And the people in the chat were being pretty sincere because abuse is pretty common and it's pretty serious and it's nothing to be taken lightly and it's nothing to be brought up in such a casual manner and then dismissed out of hand because it brings up a lot of different feelings in a lot of different people. Of all the shit that she says is triggering on her channel and other channels, bringing up domestic abuse, and then just kind of with it, people who are genuinely concerned with her would probably be worried about that because, like I said, there's people that just really like Chantal for who she is and how she is, and that's their prerogative. And I've said I don't hate Chantal either. But that's a lousy thing to do. Like, if she just turned to camera and said, you ever see a man die? Something like, and then just doesn't bring it up again? I don't know. At any rate, I'm doubting her, and I don't want to doubt a person who says that might be abused, but she'll be able to tweak back and say, I never said I was just asking a question. It's very Chantal to kind of leave those doors open to backtrack later. Was this covert? Because it seems like, and I probably missed this because I was sifting through a lot of her stuff and then some of the reactor stuff, like I said. Revenge? Covert, like at Dom? Did Dom and her have the falling out of the falling out? I haven't seen her in too much makeup lately. Where they're just, not speaking, and she's kind of gaslighting because who else would she be talking about but Dom, because she hasn't really been with anybody else. The last person was BB, and BB sure didn't hit her. And Pete's, she could probably take him in a fight. So, just, I don't know. I think like she's pointing a finger at him without pointing a finger at him. Because people are coming to conclusions on their own, I think, about a lot of this stuff. So, I don't know. That's pretty serious shit talking. But she can say that she never said this or she never said that or never said that. But it leads to certain conclusions that people make. And she gets to back out of it too. So, again, I don't like it. I don't think it's cool. I don't think it's fun YouTube teasing, dangling a carrot type of stuff. I don't like it. And if it was used just for views and drama, it's a really lousy topic to make around a video. To just drop something like that and then talk about it and say I was just joking. You shouldn't. If you're going to bring up other, like seedless watermelons, how do they do it? There's a question you put into a chat. Not, have any of you ever been tuned up in a relationship? That doesn't make it entertaining for people in the chat. I mean, and why would I seriously want to talk about any of that with someone who's wrecked and half falling asleep? Do I really think you care what I have to say? Even if you're asking right out. Even if you said right out, the guy I was seeing, Dom, was hitting me, and it was an abusive relationship. Okay, tell your mom, tell your sister, tell your dad, tell your this. Do not put it on blast on YouTube. This is a private matter. This is a private matter. Of all things that need to be kept private, this needs to be kept private. And dealt with. Not ignored, not buried, but dealt with, if it's, you know what I mean? But, like everything else with Chantal, it's a grain of salt. It's a total grain of salt. And it's unfortunate that if nothing did happen and she's acting like something did or alluding to the fact that something did, it ruins credibility for actual abuse victims. When people cry wolf. I hope, part of me hopes she is, so that nothing happened to her. And part of me hopes that if something did happen, she draws attention to it and whoever did it, something happens to them. But, grain of salt. Grain of salt. She might not have left the chair for 2 months. You know what I mean? Who knows? So that's all I have for today. That's all I can put together, pretty much. Mark?
Yeah.
We're going to wrap it up here. Do you have some closing thoughts?
Okay, yeah.
Anytime now. We're just wrapping up. We talked about Chantal's real world versus real people's real world. We talked about gaslighting, the idea of abuse, and the conclusions that I think she wants people to draw from that, about who it may be and how long it's been going on, and he's back, and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And then we went over poor Pete's. I feel bad for Pete's. I don't know why.
Pete's
Nobody likes Pete's, and I can see why sometimes. But
he's a little quirky, but
he's quirky, but he's not an out and out liar.
No.
I don't think Pete's knows how to lie. He's too honest. So, based on all of that, what's your assessment? You overheard me, you shared a little bit. Where do you think we're going into this next week? What patterns are going to stay the same? What might change?
I was trying to think of how to do a little summary from myself that differs from the last 2 weeks, and unfortunately, my opinions and everything remain the same.
If nothing changes, nothing changes.
Exactly, nothing changes. But I do, I want to say that, there's another reactor, Milk Tea.
I love Milk Tea.
Milk Tea reacts.
Isn't she lovely?
Oh, let's get the picture. Oh,
isn't she lovely?
I love Milk Tea.
I can't think of another adjective. She's lovely.
She said something this week that really, really stood out to me. And she said, I hate the position Chantal puts me in as a viewer. And I was like, ding, 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 ding. I was like, oh my gosh, it resonated with me. When I watch her now, like when I watch Chantal now, I am judgmental. I am angry, and I hate feeling that way. I hate being that way. That's not me. That's not my baseline. I'm not like that at all,
No, you're not.
And I just hate the position I feel like I'm in when I watch her as a viewer. It's so true, It's also coupled with concern.
Yeah.
A little bit of pity. I have walked in her shoes.
Yeah.
I understand. I get it. Okay. As a professional, again, concern.
Yeah.
Definitely concern.
Mm-hmm.
She would have she would have been referred to a higher level of care
A while
weeks and
ago.
weeks ago. You
Yeah.
know, she continues not to take responsibility for herself. She continues not to take any action at all. I mean, when you talk about action, she doesn't even want to get up out of bed.
No.
She doesn't want to do anything at all now. And
Yeah.
the weight is coming back on. She has adjusted
Mm-hmm.
to the drug use. At first, she was losing weight. You
Mm-hmm.
can say the Ozempic, whatever, but
Yeah,
the
that
drugs
accounts for
played
like
a
4
huge
pounds.
part of it. So she's adjusted and she's continuing to abuse these substances, and
Mhm.
she's now gaining weight again. And you know, this is all, I am standing behind what I said. She is heading down a terrible path, and this is what it's going to get worse.
Yeah.
And I am not a big book thumper. I am not, you know, AA and NA, they weren't for me, you know, but one thing that they say is that, you know, addiction, substance use disorder, using ends in one of 3 ways: jails, institutions, or death. And I completely agree with that statement. And that is what is in her future.
Mhm.
If something does not change, there are no other options. Those 3, that's it. That's it. And it's a very real thing that we could see that with her. I hope it doesn't happen. You know, I wish she would get it together. I wish her just enough pain
To
that will
motivate her.
snap her back to
Yeah.
reality. You know, like I said last week, I don't wish for her channel to be shut down, although at this point I can't believe that it's not. I am very surprised that all this
I
public
am.
drug use and all of these
Because
things
I've
that are
seen
happening
people
aren't.
shit all over TOS more than her, but
know,
again, it
but-
surprises me. If that was
yeah.
our channel and all of a sudden 2 months ago you started to see me drunk every time the camera was on,
Yeah,
and then you
Yeah.
never saw Mark again,
right. Like,
except when he would sit in the back.
yeah, right.
You know?
Yeah,
and I'd look bored if he was
yes, right. So I don't know, and it is very, very unfortunate because, you know, like she was. I mean, all you have to do is click the rewind button, go back 3 months, even a year, whatever you want to
Mhm.
do, and compare the two. It is dramatic. It's disturbing, and she's heading for.
Yeah.
It's gonna happen. It is gonna happen. She is not unique at all, not one bit. This is classic.
No,
I
yeah,
see
this
this
is-
all the time. This is what's happening. She is polyusing. She's using multiple drugs. She's abusing THC, and this whole thing of, well, you know, I can drive while smoking. Well, what is the criteria for being, you know, like how long do you wait or whatever? Well, like in the professional world, it's recommended 4 hours. You wait 4 hours after you consume edibles or THC in any way. You wait a minimum of 4 hours before you operate a vehicle. And that is what we use. That's pretty standard professionally if the question comes up, you know. But it's also case by case. How much you're using, you know, like, and all that too. So it's unfortunate, but she's not. If something doesn't change, it's just gonna continue to get worse, and it's gonna be devastating. It is. It is.
Well, here's hoping.
We lost 6 people where I work. 6 clients. Lost them in the last 2 weeks. This is real.
Yeah, it's not intervention. It's not a TV special.
Nope.
This is 6 families had to bury their kids. Mothers buried children. Children buried fathers. It happens. It's not a cute reality show.
It's true.
So
Very true.
Well, that's all I need from you,
That's
Mark.
my opinion.
Thank
you.
We're wrapping up here if you want to
Okay.
hang. So
No, nice to see you.
You're good? Okay, bye. Well, that's Mark's wrap up, and it's pretty close to mine, too. Like I said, I wish her well going forward, but she's not doing well now. I guess I just hope she doesn't get worse. Would that be more realistic? Maybe. Yeah, let's just say I hope she doesn't get worse, because better doesn't seem to be on the horizon yet. Something's going to have to smack her in the face and get her attention. But it's going to have to be out of her control. You know, it can't be her using got out of control when she went to the hospital and we care about it for 3 days, and then we don't anymore. We're going to use drugs that aren't drugs to get off drugs. So clarity. My hope for her is clarity. I hope she doesn't get any worse. I hope Pete gets a little better, even though he's been struggling. I hope if there is abuse in this gaslit nonsense that she came up with, that if something serious is happening, that there's a stop to it. And I hope she does something other than just get stoned and eat. It's so boring. Your viewers, your loyal viewers, your fans are sick of watching it. They're tolerating it. For $5 a month, they're tolerating it. So such is life. Godspeed, and get your shit together. Okay, honey? It's been long enough now. So thank you all for watching. Please do subscribe. Hit the notification bell on your way out so you get the alerts when we have new videos and when we go live. You can follow us on Facebook at SmokeySteveAndMarc, or on Instagram at SmokeySteveAndMarc, or on Twitter at SmokeySteveA. Our email address and our contact info is all listed below as well. Thank you again, and we will catch up with you tomorrow night. We are going live at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, so feel free to come by. Open chat. We don't even have members only yet, or at all, if we ever will. Usually the same few topics come up. It's like 150 people. It's really low, low attended, very chill. The mods are cool, so don't hesitate to stop by, okay? Thanks for watching. Bye. Say bye, Mark.